All right, let's dive right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to take a really close look at a uniquely ambitious blueprint for the future of sustainable agriculture in Vietnam. What we've got here is a proposed framework from a group called MKA Attorney, or MKA for short, and they've laid out this deeply structural, comprehensive plan that basically attempts to merge traditional Eastern philosophy with modern global economics. It's an absolutely massive undertaking on paper, and today we're going to break down exactly what this source document is proposing. Now, to really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what's being proposed here, you just have to consider this number, 155. According to the source material, this blueprint aims to establish exactly 155 agricultural cooperatives across Vietnam. But it doesn't actually stop there. Tied directly to these cooperatives is the stated goal of creating 155 what they call ethical billionaires. They're specifically targeting young, talented individuals to lead these new economic groups. It's just an incredibly bold starting metric. And honestly, it really sets the tone for the entire project. So, here is our roadmap for today. First up, the new agricultural vision. Then we'll unpack the three core philosophical pillars: heaven for the agricultural foundation, earth for infrastructure resources, and human for financial integration. Finally, we'll wrap things up by looking at the actual operating mechanism. Kicking things off with Section 1, the new agricultural vision. The overarching goal outlined here is essentially a regenerative socialism model, and it's targeting massive cooperatives. We're talking at least 5,000 hectares each, spread across Vietnam. The conceptual foundation they use for this massive project is actually fascinating. MKA uses the concept of Tam, which is an ancient Eastern philosophical framework that translates to heaven, earth, and human. But here's the twist. They've taken these traditional, ancient concepts and mapped them directly onto the pillars of major international financial institutions, specifically the FAO, the World Bank, and the IMF. It's a really compelling attempt to use cultural touchstones as a sort of bridge to global sustainable development. Moving to Section 2, Heaven, the agricultural foundation. In MKA's framework, this heaven pillar aligns directly with the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization, or the FAO. So what does that actually mean? Well, the source text explicitly states that within this model, the FAO represents a drive toward an agricultural and food system that is more efficient, highly inclusive, resilient, and deeply sustainable. The ultimate end goals here at this heaven layer are securing global food security and fundamentally improving the daily livelihoods of the actual people producing that food. But how does this high-level theory actually play out on those 155 farms? Under the Thien, or heaven pillar, MKS states that the cooperatives have to build their entire regenerative process around four specific things: the farmers themselves, the land they work, the surrounding environment, and of course, the ultimate quality of the agricultural products. This is the absolute bedrock. Without these four elements being completely prioritized, the rest of the model just cannot stand. Which brings us right to Section 3, Earth, focusing on infrastructure resources. If heaven is the land and the farmer, earth represents the resources required to scale it all up, and this aligns with the World Bank. According to the blueprint, the World Bank is positioned here as the symbol of tangible development resources. We're talking about the injection of specialized knowledge, heavy financial investment, and modern technology, specifically geared to serve agriculture and agribusiness. Think of it as the structural support system for the farms. Now, the source material outlines a very clear shift here. They explicitly state that these cooperatives cannot just stop at producing raw agricultural materials. The earth layer demands progression. It requires moving into deep processing of goods, standardizing quality, digitizing the supply chain, building recognizable brands, and ultimately forging strong connections with international markets. It's really about turning a traditional farm into a highly modernized agribusiness. Section 4, Human, focusing on financial integration. To make this entire vision global, MK aligns this third conceptual pillar with the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. In this framework, the IMF acts as the representative for the macroeconomic environment. This pillar is entirely focused on monetary cooperation, driving broad economic growth, and, absolutely crucial here, maintaining financial stability within these massive new cooperatives. The document makes a very, very clear argument at this point. If you want large-scale agricultural development, simply having land and a good product is not enough, not even close. To truly scale, you absolutely require transparent capital flows. You need strict financial governance. You must have guaranteed market access and a seamless connection to the broader global economic system. And that is exactly what the human pillar represents in this model. Finally, Section 5, the operating mechanism. How does MKA actually propose making all of this work in the real world? Down at the operational level, the document highlights a critical foundational policy, and it's a big one: no land confiscation. Instead of taking land away to build these megafarms, the model is built entirely on long-term structural cooperation. It envisions a voluntary, deeply integrated partnership between individual farmers, their local communities, the cooperatives, and the larger economic groups managing the business end. So when a farmer brings their land into this cooperative system, that land becomes part of a continuous, four-step value chain. Step 1, production, right there on the farm. Step 2 is processing those raw goods. Step 3 is commerce, which handles the sales and marketing. And Step 4 is finance, managing the capital and the reinvestment. Every single hectare of land is proposed to be integrated into this exact sequential loop. And hey, this brings us to the money. To actually incentivize this massive collaboration, the source document outlines a highly specific, standardized profit-sharing mechanism. Across all these new structures, profits are proposed to be divided on a strict 78 to 22% ratio among the participating stakeholders. It's basically a rigid mathematical formula designed to ensure that everyone, from the farmer in the field to the economic group at the top, sees a predefined cut of the success. Now, looking at the financial targets, the ambition just scales up dramatically here. The document outlines a Phase 1 goal of accessing a staggering 7,750 billion real-world asset, or RWA tokens. That is a huge leap into modern blockchain ecosystems for traditional farming. This capital is intended to flow through specific financial portals listed as US Trust, ATG Trust, and Novita Trust. And remember those 155 ethical billionaires we talked about at the beginning? This is the capital engine designed to create them, all while strictly aligning the cooperative's operations with 14 of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Criteria. To really ground these incredibly high-level theories and massive financial targets, the document concludes by listing its academic and professional validations. The framework carries the endorsement of the MPP-ACU Institute, which includes a backing of 31 professors and PhDs, alongside specific endorsements from figures like Dr. and lawyer Do-Hu Chien and Professor Dr. Nguyen Van Tai. And honestly, that leaves us with the ultimate question: can this highly ambitious integration, taking ancient Tom Tai philosophy and wiring it directly into modern global finance and tokenized assets, truly sustain Vietnam's agriculture? It's a complex, massive vision for the future, and it relies on the perfect synergy of the FAO's environmental focus, the World Bank's infrastructure, and the IMF's financial stability. Whether it can jump from the page to the soil, well, that is the next great chapter. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating source material. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.